What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys. I'm your host for tonight, Joey the Lawn Boss McCraskey, and with me is Chris the Stats Man Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey. The Luka Doncic trade. There was more reporting that came out about it yesterday. Mark Spears reported that Jaylen Brown is the reason that Mavericks traded Luka. And just seeing another report, and there's also another report that came out after the game. I just think the amount of reporting coming out about this trade has now surpassed stuff like the Trump assassination attempt, where that kind of like came and went faster than the Luka Doncic trade. We're still talking about the trade, Joey.
Wow.
And it happened, I feel like, a month ago at this point. Even though if you could have told me it happened yesterday with how much reporting, I still get to read about it.
Yeah, we'll get into it off rip, but so is the Jaylen Brown comparison that they don't want to have to do what the Celtics did?
Maybe it was more about because Jaylen Brown shut him down in the finals.
Got it.
In quotes, in the sense that he only averaged 29, 8, and 7.
Got it.
But that's just whatever they can. There was also another report after the game that came out that in 5 years' time, with all the hookah Luka smokes and how much beer he likes to drink, he's not gonna be able to sustain an NBA level body. So when you put stuff like that, like, oh, we'll see, I guess, in 5 years if you're right or wrong. Right now, they don't look very, very right in that respect.
At some point, they're gonna have to stop talking because I feel like they're just giving him more and more fuel to like prove them wrong at some point.
The best thing about it is Luka hasn't said anything.
Well, why would he? He's got nothing to say.
But he hasn't even made a sly comment. He literally said, like Nico. Did you see Nico during warmups? No. I mean, he talks in game, but like outside of the game, he's a quiet big man. High road man.
He's a quiet, puffy man, as they like to say. It's just Chris and I tonight. Titus is out. He's got his first gym match this weekend at Cerulean City, I heard. First Pokemon battle. So he's resting up
for next year's championships.
He's getting rested for his first trainer badge. No, he's out on safety protocols, as we like to call it here, when one of us goes down with some sort of illness. So it's all going around. We've all taken our turn. So it's just Chris and I. We're gonna try and keep entertained. I think we can handle it. First up on the list, the big game from this week, from last night, Luka against the Mavs. They were in LA, so a little less exciting than the matchup that's coming in April. But nonetheless, old team in town. Nico in town decided to show up, sit in the stands. Lakers get the victory here, 107-99, I believe the score was. Chris, what are your initial thoughts? Any hot takeaways?
I'm just happy in the sense that because I'm really on Luka's side on this. I think more than I would be for a normal trade. And it's got me rooting for the Lakers, which is the one team that I can't stand their nickname of, because they literally stole it from the place where I resided now, and they decided not to change it to a place that doesn't really have. Always has a drought problem. Anyways, it was great to see Luka win. He looked not great. His shot wasn't there, but he did every hustle stat. He had 15 rebounds, 2 offensive boards, 12 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. The guy was all over the place. Who says Luka doesn't play defense? You couldn't tell last night. So that was a great win. On side note, opposite side of this though is if Mavericks just had if Dante Exum didn't get hurt in that game, if they had Lively, Gafford, or Anthony Davis, I think the Mavericks would have won this game.
Yeah, I think with any of those pieces, you would have seen the glaring problem the Lakers have with this trade is they lost any sense of size. We've never even talked about the whole Mark Williams trade rescinding and all that, but I think I agree with you that if they had one of those guys in this game, it probably goes a different way. The argument would be maybe the Lakers took their foot off the gas a little bit because it seemed like this was in control. Early on in the game, it was in control, and then maybe they kind of laid off. Luke almost had a triple-double in the first half, but only ended up just, 3 assists over the triple-double mark.
He had 9 in the first half.
He had 9 in the first half, so ended up with 12. That's where I got my 3 from. Overall, though, Luka, he looked good. He didn't look great, but you got to expect that it's what, game 3 or 4 of him coming back after missing almost 2 months. Weirdly, it was. This is the first game, but like the first one that of Luka in LA that I watched, like actually watched and just having it on in the background doing something else kind of thing. So it didn't feel right. It probably didn't help either that he was, dapping up and hugging all the players before the game. Him and Kyrie had a nice long handshake ordeal. So it was kind of just like a surreal thing. See him playing.
It was a little more sentimental, more
Yeah,
personable than a
it felt
regular
different.
game. Yeah. You
favorite
could tell from
part of
like
the
the.
Go ahead.
Sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you can tell. To your point about it feeling different from the opening tip. Luka had the ball, gave it to LeBron. LeBron then gives it back to Luka. Luka passes to someone else. Then Luka gets it back, and I feel like on the third pass back, Luka's like, "All right, fine, I'll shoot. I'll step back." 3 was an air ball. Then he got a tech like 2 plays later, which I don't know if it got rescinded yet. Kind of should. He got mauled on that and didn't get a call. It was different just from right from the start. And Luka, props to him. His shot wasn't there again. Just being able to move the ball around and be a playmaker that he is really sets him apart. And why like trade a guy like that is just insane.
It kind of makes you think like, is this a different version of Luka? Like we became so accustomed to seeing Luka take all the shots and either win you or lose you the game based on his shot making abilities. And is this the team where he doesn't necessarily have to do that? And if like his shot isn't falling, you can see him actually make plays and get things in. Like LeBron looks spry. Like he's getting his easiest buckets he's gotten in 3, 4, 5 years.
They're talking about like 2011.
Like he's actually, he's able to play the role of slashing and cutting and moving out the ball and doesn't have to do it all on his own. And that kind of is the same thing for Luka, where he doesn't do it all on his own. So like, is this the starting of like this, I don't know, NBA conspiracy where this was all cooked up to get LeBron his next ring? I can say that because Titus isn't here to
if we want to put the conspiracy into play. LeBron has that much pull in the league, obviously.
Yeah, obviously he does.
I don't like that conspiracy only because I love the story of just Nico and Pelinka, talking to trade over coffee and like this is the coffee shop where it happened. It's like that's more fun.
For the record, I don't actually think that's a conspiracy. I don't believe it. I think this was an organization in the Mavs who honestly thought that this guy wasn't right for them long term, and they decided to do it. And
insane.
I think they're gonna. I think there's going to be a lot of jobs lost because of this, but
the basketball gods will smite this.
I got a question though. If you were Nico, Chris, let's put in this world. Are you showing up to this game?
Yeah,
you are, and you're sitting in the stands amongst fans. You're not.
You got to give it to Nico to at least show up for this game. He's not hiding.
I would have hid. I would have stayed in Dallas. I would not have showed up for this.
You wouldn't have done the trade.
If like but let's say it's happened. Like I think if Anthony Davis was healthy and playing, I'd show up and be like, all right, I'm going to support my guy. Like I made this, but like he's out. It's a tough.
No, but at least he's owning it. I guess that's the one. Yeah, dude. But like the thing is, think about someone has
thank you Nico to him, right? Like the whole arena is chanting thank you Nico.
Thank you Nico. Yeah, but to have the mindset of someone like Nico to like think that Luka's not the option. He's have to be wired in such a way.
Yeah, that's fair.
To then like, all right, I can own up to this.
That's fair.
Nothing affects me. So
it's fair. So I guess Lakers on an upward swing. I mean,
they're fine.
We're definitely seeing some more hope for them.
I think that's a little overblown.
I said some hope. We're seeing some hope for them. Some hope. Mavs downhill slide. I think we kind of all saw this coming. And again, I think this downhill slide would be happening even if Luka had stayed there. Like the 3 of their players are down at this point. So there'd be some struggles happening regardless. But
imagine if this game happened with Luka was still on the Mavericks and then AD was out for the Lakers because he got hurt a different way.
Yeah, it's a blowout the other side.
It's still right. Luka and Kyrie blow him out.
He tilts the scale. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Luka, or sorry, about Kyrie in this game, because
Kyrie was incredible. He
there's
played like
it's just it's so focused on one person, which is the crazy part of the trade to begin with.
Max Christie even had a moment where he had like a chase down block. He didn't look as good as he had been, but he was still lively out there more than
Nice, good pun.
Just
Good
trying to be
pun.
lively.
Well,
He's just not big enough.
Speaking of chase down blocks, chase down block happened. Another big game in the West. We'll pivot there. Wolves Thunder. Anthony Edwards in overtime caps the 25 point comeback.
Seriously, yes. Yeah.
Anthony Edwards with the big block on Shea very late in overtime after sitting down with a leg injury, I think is what they're calling it.
They're calling it a calf
injury. Okay. But Wolves again capped 25 point comeback against the Thunder in overtime. And not the star of the show for most of the game. Comes up with the big play at the end, but Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels kind of carry the load here, Chris, as the hometown hero of ours.
Dude,
what'd you think?
Jaden McDaniels, Terrence Shannon Jr., let's not forget his name.
Yeah.
U of I
boy.
Alum who got his jersey retired upside down.
I love it though. I love that he made t-shirts about it and is selling them for like children's hospital research.
That's great. Good.
He literally had a t-shirt made with the banner upside down, and like at the back, it's some like slogan about like, you know, turning negatives to positive, some sort of negative to positive thing, which is fantastic. I'm happy that he's making light of it. Yeah, it's awesome.
He had 17 points, 10 rebounds in this game.
It's unreal.
My favorite thing about this Wolves, which I don't like, but like from this game, it's kind of weird to say, but it's like it was all just driving to the hoop. Terrence Shannon, 7 of 10 field goals, 0-1 from 3. Jaden McDaniels didn't even attempt a 3-pointer. Anthony Edwards was 1 of 6. Naz Reid 2 of 8. They were 9 of 32 as a team. They were not. It was not a good game for them. So for them to pull this out, I saw Finch was on Colin Cowherd, I think, and he was saying that he was about to pull the starters out, and then Nah got an and one. So it was within 15. He's like, all right, let's see what happens. And then, props to him for actually playing TJ, Rob, and all the minutes with Clark as well. Conley only played 14. And then Anthony Edwards on the bench cheering the guys on, something that guys like maybe Carmelo or, I think Zach would. I don't want to put Zach in that camp. But there's some superstars out there that I feel like Harden maybe wouldn't, be like, hey, get me back in the game.
Right. The comebacks happen. Get me back in there.
Lively as
I'm with you.
Yeah, as Anthony Edwards was. So awesome win. I don't know how much to take away from it, but it's just fun to have experience a win like that. So
it's interesting because you talk about like what do you take away from it, and it's hard because the Wolves were missing Julius Randle and Rudy in this game, right?
And Dante,
and Dante, right? He's out, and then the Thunder are missing Chet in this game. So, from like a pure X's and O standpoint, it's hard to take away, team versus team kind of thing. But when you look at it, it's almost like a mindset type of thing. It's like, is this what the Timberwolves needed to kind of kickstart what has been a disappointing season for them so far? And is this kind of what the Thunder needed to kind of re-energize them or get them reinterested in this back half of the season where they've kind of, they haven't been tested really at all. They're well ahead in the West, and they're just kind of running away with it. So is this kind of the mix? Is this kind of the thing? The Timberwolves threw that zone at them, which was apparently very troublesome.
The first time they've ever seen a zone like that, I guess.
It was like watching, maybe Chris coach, children's basketball where he calls in the zone and the other team just has these, kids that never know. They don't know.
I'm coaching these first graders.
Yeah, he's coaching first graders and he calls the zone and they're like,
look.
Wait, no one's standing in front of me anymore. They're not directly on me. Like, what do I do here? Again, it's probably different if Chet's in the game because, you're probably more confident passing the ball to the free throw line. I don't know why they didn't pass it to Hartenstein as much, but Caruso became kind of their de facto, like, Crash Bandicoot of like give him the ball and let him distribute. That didn't work out so well. So they probably learned something from that. But just like all around, like as a Timberwolves player, you've got to be like, we just got tested, right? We got pushed to the ropes. our bench came in and did this. You mentioned Terrence Shannon Jr. Like, that's a good sign if Anthony Edwards can go, what did he go, 5 of 15, have 17 points?
He had a bad game.
And you win this game with him sitting out a decent chunk of the fourth and overtime, but then he comes in and gets the block when he needs it. Like, those are the things I think that last year they happen more frequently, maybe because maybe just the outcomes of games were decided in a more close fashion, or just Ant was doing kind of more amazing things, which made us kind of more excited about the Timberwolves, which kind of just makes me think now, like, yeah, this is what we liked about you. It's everybody contributes, and then your star player does something spectacular, whether it's, dunking over somebody or this big block.
He did the Alex Caruso role when he came back in overtime, right? He just
he kind of did.
He got the blocks. He played the lockdown defense, forced that bad 3-point attempt by Shea. But going back to your point on, do OKC just need to kind of kick it up into gear? I think they're so far ahead in the West.
Mm-hmm.
They are 8.5 games above second place Memphis Grizzlies or Denver, whatever day of the week it is.
Yeah,
between those two teams, that they don't care. And right now, no game talk, but they are losing to the Nets 85-73 right now, and to the Brooklyn Nets.
The Thunder are
Brooklyn. The Thunder are. So maybe it's just that period of the year where the really good teams don't kind of take their foot off the gas, and so teams like the Timberwolves, who are actually trying, and the Nets, who for some reason are a team that's trying when they actually have their pick back now. That stuff like this happens. So I love it. And again, I don't want to take too much, but I like your point on, maybe they need that boost of confidence. I think come playoff time, anything can happen kind of thing, kind of kicks into gear. If they're the 7 seed against a 2-seeded Memphis, why not Minnesota, especially with the way they're playing like this. So,
yeah. As we're going through this, I kind of want to switch up the order of the topics that we had.
Yeah. From top down then.
Yeah. I know we were going to talk Bull Sixers. I kind of want to skip it because I'm interested in this. So one of the other questions you posed to us after Wolves Thunder was Rockets and Grizzlies. Are they guaranteed first round exits? I'm going to call it. I was thinking about it pretty hard, and it made me think of it because you said, 8.5 games, and it's either the Grizzlies or the Nuggets, depending on the day. And I was like, no, both these teams can't be like guaranteed first round exits, right? One of them has to be at least competitive enough to you'd give them second round, at least like think about it. And then the more that I looked at it, I was like, well, the Rockets definitely aren't that. Like, Rockets first round exit, right? 4-6 in their last 10. They have been on a slide. Thompson like ripped down Giannis by his face the other night.
That was wild. Yeah,
that was wild, right? Like,
which
that
like Giannis was even just like, it happens, and I kind of agree. I don't know if Amen is more he in the moment kind of thing.
Yes, I agree, but for a team that had been where they were, we hadn't seen that from them all season, and it's like they finally hit that, like, did we peak and we hit some adversity, and now they're starting to show like are these the cracks that we kind of were like always talking about with like not a ton of experience here. Yes, you've got experienced coach, good coach, you've got Van Vliet, but like the rest of your team is kind of unproven. Your next player after Van Vliet is Dylan Brooks, and like, what are you getting out of him, kind of thing. So I locked that one in as, yes, guaranteed first round exit. Then I went to the Grizzlies. Now I was trying to think like, all right, I know matchups and everything, but like Oklahoma City versus Memphis. Like, I was trying to match them up player to player. And I couldn't find a way to be like, okay, Oklahoma City wins this 10 times out of 10 times.
So you're saying that Memphis is a good matchup against OKC?
I was saying, like, obviously that's not happening first round, but like there's a world where I could see Memphis and Oklahoma City matching up kind of well.
Well, especially when you got Edey, right?
Right. Like Edey,
right?
Edey's been fantastic. He's been significantly better than I think anybody thought. Everybody thought he was just a big guy who couldn't do anything. But Jaren Jackson Jr. too. Like, who on Oklahoma City is guarding Chet? Right, you're probably putting Chet on him, and you're leaving Hartenstein for Edey.
Right, and then you got Cynthia Aldama right off the bench with Brandon Clark.
Right, but like Ja and Shea are going one-on-one. Like that's Shea obviously wins that battle, but like is it so far gone that you're saying like they sweep them out of a series? Probably not. So like I couldn't necessarily get on board with the Grizzlies being a first round exit, which is hard for me because
Well, so they wouldn't play
very
OKC in the
anti-Grizzlies.
first round. They're playing
sure.
like Golden State.
Yeah, which can lead into our next topic too. But I was trying to think of like if I can't see of a path for them to get absolutely, wiped out by the Thunder, it's going to be hard for me to find another place for them to get absolutely wiped out. The only one being the Nuggets, probably, which is weird. But
got it. Because the question was Rockets and Grizzlies, are they prime for a first round exit?
Yeah.
And you're so to recap on your point, Houston most definitely. I want to also add on to your Houston point on this team. They're first in the league in rebounds, which I'd love to see. They got guys like Tari Easton, Iman Thompson. They average like 7.7 boards a game with Sengun, I think like top 5 in rebounds in the league. The reason they get so many rebounds, they're 25th or 26th in 3-point percentage. This team can't shoot at a consistent level. And if you have to rely on Jalen Green, who was a high draft pick and is a talented player in his own right, to consistently win you the games, it's not a winning formula. They need Van Vliet's not been as good as you'd kind of hope for a player like him. And Amin Thompson's still too young. He's still very early in the year. So you don't have the offense. It feels like you got defense, but defense can only take you so far if you don't have the offense. I know it wins you championships, but you got to win some playoff series before you can get to that championship. And they don't have the offense.
You have to win some games on the back of scoring at some point.
And then Memphis with the Memphis Grizzlies. Yeah, when you look at it on paper, it looks fantastic. The question is Ja Morant. The guy just went 1 of 12 in that 151-148 overtime win. When you went from 12 from 3, the guy, he's shooting under 30% from 3-point range this season. And he's never been a big 3-point shooter, but like come playoff time, they're just gonna clog the paint on him. And he's gonna have to, Desmond Bane's gonna have to step up. You're gonna need Vince Williams to step up. You're gonna need what's that guy, Jalen Wells to step up. So if they play someone like the Warriors, I think the Warriors might be favored if it's a 2-7 Warriors Grizzlies matchup. So
yeah, I kind of read your question. I think I said it like a guaranteed, and maybe I thought of that because when I started looking at Houston, I was like, these guys are getting bounced first round no matter what.
Well, when you said guaranteed, and yeah, Houston for sure. Now it feels even more like no, Houston's out.
But like, I was just I don't know. The more I looked at Memphis, I was somewhat convincing myself, and I was trying to avoid looking at matchups. And I don't know. I don't like to look at like matchups as they stand today, especially in like a conference where it's so close together. I don't know why it just feels like a futile effort. Maybe my exercise was futile too, but I think the Grizz have a chance.
So
Of those two teams, they have the better chance of not getting bounced in the first round than Memphis. Speaking of first round, though, let's kind of I'm jumping all over because I'm
absolutely.
Let's
Sweet what?
Let's Titus is in here. The wheels are off. We can be crazy. Let's talk about a team that's probably not even going to have a chance to play in the first round. Let's go to Phoenix.
Okay.
Let's go over there. So currently out of the play-in, I got some stats for you, Chris, that I was going to throw out on.
All right, let's hear
on Phoenix. Do you have a guess of their defensive rating of their rank of where they stand right now?
Oh god, like 23rd?
That's giving them some benefit of the doubt. They're 27th.
Oh wow.
Only better than the Pelicans, Wizards, and Jazz. 116.
Jazz aren't even trying.
Jazz are not trying at all. Well, I mean the Wizards.
Well, none of those teams are trying.
None of those teams are trying, right?
Yeah.
When the Suns win a game, their defensive rating is still 29th at 110.1.
So wait, it's worse when they win?
No, it's better. It's 6 points better when they win, but it's still 29th.
Oh, I see. But
their ranking is worse, yes, but their overall rating. And then when they lose, they're 25th. So they are just absolutely terrible on defense. Their offensive rating, middle of the pack, they're at 11th. But as you just mentioned, defense can win you championships. Offense has to happen, though. But when you're middle on offense and bottom of the barrel on defense, you get the Phoenix Suns. And
Even if they're like 5th in offense, it's just not enough.
No, not when you're this far behind in
so
being able to play
stupid.
defense. So do they make it in?
I don't think they make it. They're the
there a
11th
comeback
seed right
here?
now. I don't see a path for them making the playoffs. This is like, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Durant's on the record being like, I'm still in the prime of my career. I can be a valuable asset to a franchise. Not to the Phoenix Suns, because this roster is so weird. Like, they got Durant, Booker, and Beal. If you have those three, you should be building defense around those three guys. But no, they got Grayson Allen, then Tyus Jones, Royce O'Neal as your next, as your next guys, as your next three. So that's your 6. And then you got Nick Richards and Bull, who are kind of supposed to be the defense guys, but they've played 40 games combined this year. They played 20 each basically. Then Ryan Dunn, who's fine. He was like a hot start. He kind of fell off a little bit. And you're relying on Mason Plumlee getting like 28 minutes a game now, right? So
it's messed up.
It's just it's like when you're fourth grade and you just got an NBA 2K for the first time. You do my GM and you're like, I want all these star players, and then you just have fun with that, and you can win because you're playing on rookie mode. But when you're playing an actual career, or if you simmed it, you would lose because you realize you don't have any defense to help. But anyways,
I was just gonna say that only works if you have it on rookie mode. If you put it to like professional or whatever it's called, it becomes a disaster for you immediately.
Yeah, it's just so the roster construction was incredible. Even at the time, like getting Durant was one thing. Getting rid of, for trading for Beal, it just felt like, we gotta try Beal. It's like, you don't have to try it. Guys, this guy, he's not that good. Like, he doesn't have any defense. What are we thinking here? So I don't know. It's just a monumental mistake.
It's a monumental mistake. And is this also just an absolute crime against Devin Booker from the Suns?
Poor guy.
Right?
Yeah. Because this is the prime of his career. This is his 9th or 10th season.
Yep. And he gets him to the finals. Like Chris Paul was
He's in his late 20s.
Chris Paul was a veteran presence that like helped them like maybe overcome some stupid mistakes, but like they get to the final against the Bucks because of Devin Booker.
Yeah.
For the most part. And then they give him this. And then, when's the last time anybody's talked about him? He's like a complete afterthought.
Elite level? No, you never think about him. He was considered like the top shooting guard for like a year there.
There was a time we were discussing like Tatum or Booker. Jaylen Brown.
There was a minute. That was a good minute.
It was a minute, right?
Yeah.
And like that's conversation's over. Like you don't even think about him anymore.
Well, I remember it was like Tatum or Paul George. That was a heated discussion.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, no, Paul George. You got to take Paul George. Now, I guess you take Booker because Paul George was just a shell of himself. He stopped doing his podcast. He announced today.
I saw that.
He wants to focus on winning a championship, which maybe you should have thought about doing that a few months ago.
Yeah, before you joined the 76ers with a guy who can't play anymore.
I don't know. They're going to shut it down. They should be shutting it down.
They should be shutting it down.
We can talk about them next week. We can save that. I'm actually kind of happy that I'm not happy. I'm impressed that you wanted to save not talking about the Bulls, even though they had a great win. Let's just talk about the West. The West is just so much more fascinating.
It was a great win.
Sixers win.
It was a great win, but it was so evident that team is just completely dead inside that like it didn't feel like
oh no.
Like you could see all the things that we've seen from the Bulls in those like typical losses where they lose by that many. It's like, man, this is what it feels like to be on the other side of this. All right. Like, yeah. And then I saw Tyrese Maxey and I was like, dude, this guy is not as good as everybody thought he was. He's only good when his team is good. Then
is that still IO ceiling though? IO can still strive.
I'm sticking with it. My hot take. I said hot take.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, to another team kind of teetering, the game and a half or 2 games above are the Suns. Sacramento Kings and our beloved, my beloved. Sorry, let me correct that. Not ours. My favorite.
A pod friendly player, I feel like.
I wouldn't say pod friendly. Who is friendly to him on this pod except for me?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's someone friendly to him.
Okay. All right. Zach LaVine, other night, 8 to 9 from 3. I don't remember how many points it was because all I saw
42.
was the stats, and I saw smiles, and I was happy for him. I was sad for myself and my Bulls, but I was happy for him. It looked like the stat line that should have been happening in Chicago all those years, where DeMar was like 10 points less with like 10 less shot attempts, but like pretty good efficiency. And then Zach was the one carrying the load. But all that has led them to not really much movement since they got him. It's only been 8 games, but the Kings kind of seem stuck in mud, not for lack of trying and not for lack of playing well. Just more of the West is better than them, I think. I don't think they move much here. That was kind of my thought from looking at the Kings. Their ceiling probably didn't change with De'Aaron Fox going out and Zach coming in terms of, offense and defense. You kind of got the same player, just one plays a slightly different position. Chris, what do you think? You think the Kings are kind of stuck at 10? You think they're sliding? You think they're finding a way to jump?
This team, if they're in the East, they're like the Pacers, I think. And the Pacers are 4th in the East. I feel like the Pacers and Kings, I know they traded with each other, the Sabonis and Halliburton, but they still, those two teams still feel very similar. But then you see the 10th seed in the West or the 4th seed in the East. So it's not, no doubt on the Kings. The Kings fired the coach. They might start kinging again, where they had a nice one with Late in the Beam, and it might just be all over. I think this team is grasping as hard as they can for dear life to get into the play-in, because God forbid this team doesn't get into the playoffs after the drought that they went through, and to only do it for 2 years. Come on, at least give us one more year of it, right? So it feels like the Kings at least will get a play-in game. Can they really surpass the Mavericks, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, the Clippers? No. They got their hope is to not get surpassed by the Suns and to outpace the Blazers and the Spurs, who are still kind of competitive even though Embiid's out. The Kings I just wanted to bring up the Kings because I know your boy Zach hit 42. Zach. So that was fun to see.
It was.
But like 10, hopefully they get a 10 seed. We see one fun game out of Zach game, maybe 2 if we get lucky.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're the Kings, you're hoping you get to 9 and the Mavericks get to 10 and stay at 10, right? And you get 9-10.
Then you get a home court game.
A home game against the Mavericks. That's probably what you're hoping for. I don't think you want a home game against the Suns. I don't think the Kings matchup is great against them as they would against Dallas. Dallas could be tough though too, but I think I would pick Dallas over Phoenix in a single game. And then you're hoping that you're beating the loser of, at this point, Timberwolves Warriors. I think you probably want Timberwolves.
We don't need to talk about this. It's going to be Houston or the Clippers. We'll get to that.
Right. I think you're probably right.
Regardless, the Kings don't want to play any of them.
Yeah, the Kings don't want to play any of them. They don't match up great. They're Bulls. Gosh, they're Bulls West. They are literally like Sabonis' Vooch. Like, they're Bulls West. Like, they're going to be fun at times, and they're going to be like really good, and they're going to score a lot of points. And there'll be times where, like, when you comes down to matchups, like, how do you match up against anybody of any sort of skill and size?
I think they're way more talented though than the Bulls.
Maybe not like the Bulls of last year, but Bulls of like that of the 1 year.
Okay. When they were actually
the 1 year.
Fun. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Well, speaking of teams, again, still in that kind of window, we're kind of sitting at the bottom here in the West because it's probably the most intriguing at this point of what's kind of been shuffling around. The second biggest trade of the trade deadline, Jimmy Butler to the Warriors. Warriors been on a roll here, 5-1 since Jimmy has joined. They're now up to the 8th seed, half a game ahead of the Mavericks, game and a half ahead of the Kings, and just a half game behind the Timberwolves. Also half game behind the Clippers for the 6th seed. So all kind of right there. Warriors are cooking. Jimmy looks like he fits in really, really, really well. I think there were some comments in our group chat when the trade happened of like, this is a nothing trade. Like, it's not that. I mean, it's a big trade, but like in terms of personnel, like it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. Like, it's all going to be up to if Jimmy can still be Jimmy, and he seems to be good. But the biggest part, I think, is Steph seems quite re-energized, almost like a Luka LeBron-esque type thing here, where they got a player in who's carrying some load, and they're reaping the benefits of it. Chris, what do you think
That's
about the
true.
Warriors?
I am guilty of this trade just being like, yeah, cool. Maybe they can get out of the play-in at best. And now it's like, okay, well, actually, Jimmy is really good at playing basketball. I think we kind of forgot about that for a minute.
I think it was a fatigue thing. We were just tired of hearing about it. We're like, we're just tired of hearing about Jimmy. Whatever, who cares?
Yeah. And now it's like, oh yeah, that's why he gets to act the way he does. He's one of the most talented people in the world.
Yeah,
The only reason you can act the way he was is if he can back it up. And he's one of the few that can, right? So
yeah.
he was able to do whatever he wants, and now he's proven why he could. So the Warriors look fantastic. Granted, it's, I mean, hey, they beat Houston, they beat at Sacramento, they beat Dallas. They're playing, they're beating good teams, so it's not like and they also beat Charlotte. When I talk about that, it's fine. Everyone's beating Charlotte. So the Warriors actually have the easiest schedule the rest of the way, and I realized that the day after we made our wins pick, where I took the Bucks over the Warriors, I regret that already, considering after reading that. And the Warriors, I think, are just going to climb here. They might lose like 5 more games, finish 50-32, and just maybe get home court in the playoffs as as a 4th seed. That's like the ceiling of this team, I feel like. Well, I think they get there. If they get to the 6th seed, that's a huge win. So
Yeah,
I think that's their goal. But like, this has just been
that one less game for them, I think, would be absolutely huge. I would like to say in our New Year's resolutions, a lot of people were calling for the Warriors to hang it up, right? That this was it. And I think we all agreed that there was time to make one more trade. Because at this point, by Christmas, the Warriors were pretty decent. I think they were like number 4 in the West. They were hanging around. They had a little tough stretch through like late December and January. But they made the trade. It seems they're working out. Draymond, Steph, Jimmy kind of works. It's kind of like that weird little, like, I guess on paper, right? You think about it, like, what were the Warriors always so good at for so long, right? It was Steph and Clay and then Draymond. And now they just, instead of having another 3-point shooter, they just said, all right, we've got a guy now who is going to get to the rim and pretty good, making layups and contested shots at the rim. And then he's going to get to the free throw line and get his 3-point plays the opposite way, which obviously takes a load off Steph from having to run around and play. So, like, it's a different form of the Warriors that we saw. But it's almost like a similar formula to what made them good for all those years. And it's kind of weird to say, but I feel like their ceiling at this point is conference finals. Like I could honestly see them making a run to the conference finals.
And depending on how even that run is going, like Dallas was the 5th seed last year, and they made it to the finals, right? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't have to convince myself that hard that the Warriors can make it to the conference finals.
Yeah, in that case, yeah. So and what's fun with the Warriors is like you still have to worry about Curry on the perimeter and Buddy Hield when he's in. You worry about him on the perimeter, but really it's like they take advantage of the open paint so much more now with Butler. Pajemski's gonna be getting the rim a bunch. When the come bucket comes back, it'll be interesting how he kind of interacts with this team as well. And then Moses Moody's been pretty good too.
You just drop that in there. You just go with that on your own.
It's my favorite nickname in the league. And he's not even there, Jonathan Kuminga. So who knows? Yeah. Well, I honestly, I think the Warriors could make it to the finals. I don't see if the one team in their way, in my opinion, is the Denver Nuggets. I think they're kind of the Spurs of the West, the new Spurs, like from 10 years ago with Duncan, where they just have such a high floor. The Nuggets do. So I don't know if the Warriors can beat that, but because Quentin Post is a fine center and everything, but Draymond can't guard Jokic the way he needs to guard him in the playoffs. So it's just exciting. It's just exciting to see a lot of good teams in the West. There was a thing I was listening to a pod earlier talking about like the different playoffs from last year. There are a lot of bad playoff series, and it feels like this year we're going to have a lot of good first-round playoffs with teams like Golden State, Houston, Minnesota. Like the top 8 in the West, dude, is just fantastic.
It's shaping up well. I think the matchups could fall good too. But last question, I guess, and on the Warriors in terms of OG teams. Lakers or Warriors? Who are you taking as a
in a playoff series?
higher? No, not necessarily in a head-to-head, but who makes it further in the playoffs? I guess at some point maybe then you'd have to have.
So like if Golden State plays Memphis and the Lakers have to play Minnesota, I'm taking the Warriors, right? And obviously the Minnesota. It depends on how the matchups shake out, but like I think Golden State has a better chance of making it further in the playoffs than the Lakers.
Damn, I didn't even realize like Ant versus Luka could happen again like really easily.
We're gonna see it tomorrow, man. They're playing each other tomorrow night. So
I meant like the playoffs.
I know, but still tomorrow night, 9:30. God help me.
9:30. It's a terrible start in LA. Yeah. Fuck that. Don't need it.
I'll watch the replay tomorrow morning.
There you go.
Doing all possessions. That takes 40 minutes. It's fantastic.
Right. 40-minute all possession. It's clutch. Well, that was everything on our list. Any other topics from the last week?
That's it for the West, man. We'll talk about the East. We'll talk about Court of Gold next week with Titus coming back.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the East, I guess, too. We'll get some East questions.
We'll try and get in there.
Watch some. It's good. Like they do a deep dive on the Serbian national team.
Okay.
They really you get some locker room cameras, in there. It's pretty cool.
I must have missed this in our conversations or my basketball media consumption because I didn't know this was even a thing. So
I didn't even know until it came out. Then I never heard about it until it came out, and I was like, "What is this? Olympics?"
I'm in.
Watching. It's like, oh, okay.
I'm interested in. All right. Well, that's it. You good?
Yeah.
We'll be back next week. We'll figure out what we're gonna do. Court of Gold, Eastern Conference. We got some tiers coming up. We've got to reshuffle.
Maybe we'll re-rank.
We've got to re-rank our contenders and playoff princesses and whatever we're gonna call them at this point in time. I forget the names of them every time. We always change them up. So we'll get around to that, but we'll be back next week, full squad. Hopefully Titus has defeated his Pokemon gyms and he's ready to get back with us. So for Chris and myself, until next time, box out.